What's going on, Buff Nation? Welcome back to another video. So today we got a phone for you guys. We're going to be discussing the new defensive coordinator, Robert Levinson. His contract next year will be the highest contract in Buff history. We're going to talk about it, what that means, my thoughts on it, how it matches up with the rest of the Big 12. And then I also took a dive. I went into the lab, crunched some numbers because I like to see how teams are going to bode next year. I always like to get a little insider and see the talent composition. Well, it's not out for 2024 yet. We have for 2023, so I want to do a little compare and contrast, but we didn't have for 2024. So you know what I did? Went to the lab, pulled out all the players, and did it myself. So we're going to look and see how the Buffs sit in 2024 in comparison to 2023, and then how they compare to the rest of the Big 12 headed into this year, and what it could mean for the success for the Buffs. Roll my damn intro, baby. Let's get it.
I flushed my juice down in the club.
Fired up, baby. Let's go. All right, let's dive right into it. So, Robert Livingston, the new defensive coordinator, signed a massive 2-year deal. This year, I think it's right around $900,000, but next year will be $995,000 in 2025, which then will be the highest. It'll make him the highest paid assistant coach next year. Again, amongst all that everyone who's on the staff currently. Now, something that I found very interesting, in case anybody wants to know or is interested in this thing, the budget that Coach Prime had for his assistants was around $5 million, and then it was up to him basically to how he wants to divvy that up. Now, how that compares to the standard industry, the likes of Georgia and SEC-like teams, Mizzou's right around that 5.2 mark, so Colorado's pretty close to that. I think they're about 5.6. LSU is about a 7.2. Florida, 7.2. Georgia, 7.3. This is their budget they have for assistant coaches, just so you guys are aware of kind of how that works. Again, why is that important? Well, that's going to be factors of the type of talent. Again, how you look at stars and how you look at the recruits coming in. You can compare that to the coaches that you get as well, the talent pool that you can dive into based on how much money you're willing to spend. In comparison, Clemson, who we know of their success, their offensive coordinator gets paid $2 million. All right. And I think there's another coach gets the highest paid defensive coordinator is like 1.8. Now, how does that bode in the Big 12? Out of the top 25 highest paid assistants, there's only one Big 12 team. That's Colorado, and they're new to the Big 12. Texas and Oklahoma are up there, but they are not in the SEC. So the teams that Colorado has to worry about, you've got only Utah with their defensive coordinator as the top 10 highest paid assistant out of all assistants. So the 25th was Auburn's defensive coordinator. He is now at Florida, right around the $1 million mark. $995,000 for your defensive coordinator. That puts you right there at the butt of top 25, top 30 for coordinators. So you're in that level of high competition with what you're paying Robert Livingston. Is he worth $995,000? Is he worth top 20? We don't know those questions yet. Obviously, I think Coach Prime is putting a lot of stock into Robert Livingston if he's making him one of the highest paid Buff assistants of all time. Two things. One, inflation. Number two, I mean, there obviously things are changing at Colorado, so you would expect to see more of these things happen, that there are some records are going to be broken, especially with contracts, because the seriousness of Colorado football with what Coach Prime is bringing is definitely taking a next step into where it's headed. So all big stuff, all exciting things, all great things. Again, I was wanting to see how it compared to the Big 12, and that doesn't mean, again, you have the same level of coaching talent, but you got to believe that Coach Prime believes that, hey, we are at that level, and that's more important than anything else sometimes. So we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, going into next year, a lot of questions on who Robert Livingston is, but I think once people kind of settled into the research, they realized, like, look, this is a pretty exciting hire. We're ready to rock and roll with it. Now, let's get into the weeds here. Okay, so here's what I did. Take a listen to this. Last year, Colorado had an average with 73 commits of 86.72. Now, you can get this from 247. It's their 2023 football team talent composite. So what they do is they look at the entire team, and basically like the recruits and who are currently there, where they sit talent-wise, right? It doesn't tell you that they're going to be the best in the country, okay? That's not what that means at all. Again, all these things are just other ways of looking at, with us not playing football, how we could see how these are going to bode. Just to kind of give you a rough estimate. Number 1 was Alabama, Final Four team. Number 2 was Georgia, just missed the Final Four. Number 3 was Ohio State. They struggled. Number 4 was Texas A&M, huge question marks, and went 7-6. 5 was Clemson, they struggled. 6 was Texas, then LSU, USC, we know how they did. So it's not, again, a foolproof plan, but it gives us an idea of where things are settled. So Colorado, for example, last year, which is very good, I believe, sat at 35. behind Utah, behind Arkansas, and how that boat against with them last year in the Pac-12. Again, why it doesn't always mean that you're going to have immediate success, because USC was number 1, then Oregon, then UCLA. Well, we know how UCA performed, or USC performed, but Oregon did very well. But behind Colorado, we had Stanford. Let's not really count that as a loss, but obviously lost to Stanford. Arizona, who had a phenomenal year, but a lot of that went to Coach Fish is doing a phenomenal job there at Arizona. He is now gone, so Arizona is in just pit of misery right now. Arizona State, Cali. But Oregon State and Washington State were at the very bottom, and we know what both of those teams did. They had a very successful year. So again, I give you all of this to tell you that it's not foolproof that just because this number is going to do a certain thing, that it's going to tell you the entire answer, right? But it's at least a step in the right direction. So Colorado sat at an average player rating of 86.72 with 73 commits and a total score of 712. Now, I was unable to do the total score, but what I did, like I said, is I went in there, took all the players out from last year, added the incoming players on top of this recruiting class, eliminated everybody who left, got it down to the 82 scholarship players that are there currently, and now the average rating sits at 88. So from 86.72 to it was like 87.99. So I rounded up. All right, it was 0.88. Mind you, that's with 9 more commits. So the higher your commits go, usually that kind of will bring down the average a little bit, right? Especially if you cut down, let's say they cut down 10 recruits or 10 players and get rid of some of their lower end stars, that rating will jump up drastically. So not only did they improve in quality, they improved in quantity as well heading into next season. Now, obviously we saw the second portal cycle, so this could change a lot from now until then. And again, all this is a perspective of what these recruiting sites feel these players are rating should be. So that's also why it's not a foolproof plan of, hey, this is where it's going to be. Now, where does that sit? I didn't do all of the Big 12 for this year, but if they're at 88, okay, TCU was at 88 last year. I think they'll probably be around the same because they had kind of a little bit of a setback. Texas Tech was at 86. Baylor was at 86. Houston, 86. West Virginia, 86. Cincinnati, you get the point. Everyone else, UCF, Oklahoma, Iowa, Kansas State, Birmingham, BYU, all well underneath that threshold of that 88 of talent. So here's the good news. Colorado is nowhere short of talent on this football team. I think you all knew that, right? We are all aware of the talent that was coming in, but it's nice when you can back it up with data. When you can look at it from a numbers perspective, it changes the entire way that you look at things sometimes. Again, you still got to play the games. There's still emotions involved. You still got to go play in these ruckus college stadiums, which changes everything. Those aren't taken into consideration when we're looking at these numbers, but it is something to kind of get us prepared, get us ready when it's the middle of February and we want to talk football, to look and think about, hey, there's some exciting things to be excited about. And again, the talent was there last year. When you look at it, top 33, top 35 talent to pull. I think that we see where they made the changes. Coaching staff had some changes as well, which that's how you take you got 86 to 88. How do we take an 88 to where it's competitive? How do we take an 88 and make it compete in a top 10 atmosphere or to be a Final 12? It's going to come down to coaching, and they made those changes. So made changes to the talent pool and elevated that, and now they also have made some changes to coaching, and we'll see if it elevated. I think there's always question marks on coaches. They don't have stars or ratings. I think you look at it by their salary based on what their industry values them. Robert Liverson, that's an interesting one. Again, somebody who's never been a defensive coordinator before is sitting right outside. He's probably in the top 50 of defensive coordinators, if I had to guess. Again, it gets small, right? Because we're talking 1-1, 1-1, 9-9, 9-9-7. There could be a lot of coaches, but you get the point. He's in spitting distance of some of these top-end defensive coordinators. And again, is that good or bad? We won't know. But that tells me that Coach Prime believes that, hey, that he's worth that. And if you're supporting the Coach Prime, you support what the Buffs are doing, then you should support that, hey, this is moving in the right direction, and be excited about where things are headed. So, hope you guys enjoyed this kind of content. I know it was a little wordy and a little numbery at times, but again, I like this kind of stuff. I like to dive into it to just give us a different perspective versus just how it feels in the gut. I'm a big feel guy. Trust me. I love that kind of stuff. But sometimes it's good to look at the numbers to support if what I'm feeling is somewhat true. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. We're going to try to work on getting some more videos out on a daily basis. We've been struggling a little bit on our end. That's on me. I apologize, but I'll see you guys in the next one. Again, like, subscribe, turn the bell on because you don't want to miss when we do drop one. And I'll see you. Peace.